Hello everyone, I'm Sean Jones and I'm one of the instructors here for IT-112, and I wanted to do a little additional screencast on Windows updates for Server 2008. In the book in Chapter 2, when it had you installing Server, it also told you to do the Microsoft recommended settings for Windows Update and just set them to check every morning at 3 a.m. and to automatically install. Um, from experience, I can safely say that that is not always the best way to go, especially on a server. There's a few reasons for that. The first is that servers, by their very nature, are need to be accessed at any time of the day by any number of people, and unexpected reboots and shutdowns uh, are not really acceptable in most businesses. If you have a server go down in the middle of the day, which I've had happen a number of times with clients because there were updates that had to be installed and no one said no, don't restart now, and it just went ahead and did. The company can be down for upwards of about 45 minutes. It takes a while to install updates. Sometimes it takes almost an hour to install updates, and servers can take a long time to boot back up fully. Especially if there are a lot of services that need to run, it can take a long time to load that up and to get everything started again. And so you could waste a good hour in a day that the company simply can't function because Microsoft decided that now was when it needed to update. Another thing that's happened to me is if they are set to run and install at 3 in the morning, if you have a backup solution that runs overnight and the backup solution takes a long time for some reason, maybe it's an offsite backup and there's some connection problems, or it's just slow, or there's a lot of data to back up that night, um, it can interfere. It can try installing updates at the same time you're trying to back up and end up corrupting both the system and the backup that you're trying to run, and you can end up losing a lot of data that way. So that is one very important reason why you might not want to have updates run automatically. The other important reason is that a lot of companies have customary or custom or proprietary applications that they run, things that are written for that company. Microsoft, they do their best to make sure whenever they push something out that it's not going to break anything, but they don't know the thousands and hundreds of thousands of applications running on the Windows platform. They don't know if they push something out that it's not going to break something that was written by some guys in a basement. I had a client that used a custom app that was started written about 10 years ago, and it was to track snow plows. This is a snow removal company, and there was a vehicle tracking software. And the authors had kept up to date with what was going on. They had been writing patches and updating the software, but they relied on something called Microsoft .NET Framework to do a lot of the heavy lifting in that program. And Microsoft pushed out an update one day that that basically changed a couple of functions, and as a result broke the program. Program couldn't run. And this was in the middle of a terrible snowstorm. And if you can imagine trying to keep track of a fleet of 60 snowplows when you now no longer have any of your database available to you, that's essentially what happened. And so, you know, you can't always prevent that, but you can prevent it from happening at critical times such as that. In other words, don't update a server for a snow removal company in the middle of winter. For example, if it's running, don't mess with it. And the way you do that is by changing the settings for the automatic updates. It is your responsibility, however, if you do change the settings from automatic updates to some other setting, that you are responsible then for making sure that the updates still do get done on the time frame and the schedule that you want, but don't forget about them. It's the quickest way to get your server infected is to never install any of the security patches that Microsoft puts out too. So anyway, so very quickly, if you go to the Windows Update control panel, in Control Panel System Security Windows Update, you can also get there from the Start menu, All Programs, Windows Update. It'll tell you the updates that are available, and also give you an option over here to change the settings. Incidentally, for optional updates, you do want them to show up at the same time that your important updates are available. But you don't necessarily want to install all the optional updates. Like, for the most part, if I click on this here, you'll see most of them are hardware updates, language pack updates, and then and they will push Bing Desktop and Bing Toolbar every time they can, at every chance. You don't ever want to install anything for Bing Desktop or Bing Toolbar, or any toolbar or desktop, no, not Google Earth, anything like that on a server. A server is not designed to be run as a desktop, and these are all designed to be add-ons to a user's desktop to make things easier for them, to allow them to search faster or whatever. You should never be using a server that way, so you should never be installing that on a server. Language packs, unless you need your server to run in Japanese, you really don't need any of these packs. They just end up taking up more space, and you can simply ignore them. One thing you can do is, if you have a list of these and you just don't want to keep seeing optional updates 34 every time you check your updates, is if you right click on update, one of your options is to hide the update. And if you do that, you'll see it grays out instead of being ready or active. It grays out and you can't check it. Next time you search, it won't show up in the optional updates. So that's just something for you, just to make it easier, a little less cluttered. Important updates in general, unless there's a good reason not to, like for example, if you rely on .NET Framework for a very important program, you might not want to install it right away. The updates, you might want to maybe install this on a test environment, maybe make a virtual machine with a copy of your server on it, then install it, see if your programs run, and if they do after a few weeks and you didn't see any problems, then go ahead and install that update on your server. But don't just wait for things to break and then try and figure out why they broke. Be a little proactive. So anyway, in the settings, if we go here and change settings, here we see the Microsoft recommended settings, the updates, install updates automatically at 3 a.m. I would recommend checking updates, so make sure we know when they come through, but let me decide when to download and install them, and then set a time every week. Maybe 4 o'clock on Friday. The last thing you do of the week is go through the updates, make sure nothing is there, and if something is there, make sure you know if you want to install it or not want to install it, and then set a time when you know no one is going to be using the machine and it can be rebooted if it needs to be, to install them. Give me recommended updates. This is checked, I think, by default. It should stay checked, because there are some times where recommended updates are good. Security updates specifically can come in that way sometimes. Giving Microsoft updates at the same time as you get regular system updates is also a good thing, because specifically Microsoft Office has a lot of updates, a lot of security updates, and there are a number of things that you need to keep up on if you're going to be using Office, especially if you're going to be using macros in Word or Excel, or if you have users that will be using them. You'll want to stay updated on that. And these can all be controlled either this way or through, as you'll find out later on in the semester, something called group policy, where you can set a global policy for every computer on the network. You can do that all in one place. You don't have to go to each computer. You don't have to have it built into the image. You can just control that from a server and have it push out settings to all the machines. And that would be, in my opinion, the recommended way to set up Windows updates. But we'll save that for the chapter on group policy. But anyway, just to recap, it is a good idea to run your updates all the time. It is a good idea to make sure that they're done. But on a server, you need to make sure that that you're never surprised when it decides to reboot or go down, or when it installs things that you don't know about. You need to make sure that you know when those are going to happen. And while Microsoft's heart is in the right place by allowing you to update automatically so you never have to think about it, as a network administrator, it's your job to think about these things and to know when changes are going to occur in your network. So yeah, just to recap, I would say change your settings to check updates, but let me choose when to download and install them. I would do this after you have deployed the server. So when you first set up the server, run all the updates, run everything that you can, make sure it's completely up to date, put all your software on, make sure everything works. Then once it's in the network and once you know it's functioning, then change the updates to notify me, but don't download or install them, to allow you to control when these things happen. Okay, that's it. I hope this was helpful. And I'll be doing a few more of these small screencasts throughout the semester with just little additional information from, specifically from the perspective of a person that has worked out in industry, not necessarily in the enterprise level, which is where Microsoft tends to write all of its papers for, but in the small to mid-sized business field, which is where most of the businesses in the world are, and most likely where you'll be getting a job. So, whenever possible, if there's something that I can either clarify or expand upon from the book and from Pat's screencasts, I will be doing these short screencasts to help. All right, have a good day.